Hey folks, welcome back to the Priory. My name is Dave Jackson. Welcome to Walmart. I'm in the parking lot awaiting my wife who's buying roses for my granddaughter because she graduates high school today. Yes, I'm a grandfather with a graduating senior today. So last night I talked to a 21-year technical sergeant. He toured 25 years ago in the year 2000, for those of you that want to do the math. And he was on the If You Believe tour. Had a few tears, had a few misnames we didn't get right, had a few laughs as well. It's always great to talk to the one and only Thompson Blue Prior, JD Dill. On you. JD, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, how are you?
You know,
Hey,
you're my,
thank you for
you're my,
having me. Let me
yo,
start
no
there.
problem.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on here, man. You're my second thespian in a row. I had TA
Oh
last week,
Lord.
and I've got you.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, you
there's
got to do what
that.
you got to do to keep it rolling, right?
Got to keep it rolling, man.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
keep looping it, right? Wasn't that the sign for keep looping it? Isn't that what,
Yeah.
I think that's what Terry Griffey used to do.
Yeah. My saying is that I can't help getting older, but I refuse to get old.
I like that.
So
That should be a
part of
shirt.
that is just to keep active and keep doing. So doing
Yep.
theater helps me a lot because around here I'm in southern middle Tennessee. So the only time I get to sing is either at a bass function when I do the anthem or if I'm doing karaoke out at a dive bar. So it's
Well,
it's
so that,
southern middle Tennessee.
that takes care of question number one. Where are you located?
I am in Manchester, Tennessee. It's I'm an hour from Nashville, an hour from Chattanooga, so I'm right in the middle. Did I
All
lose you?
right. Yeah. No,
Um,
you're good.
and so Murfreesboro is like 30 minutes away. So if you need something, you're right here. But it's small town living, and
Mhm.
that's how I was raised. I was out
Yeah.
on a farm in a small town, so I love it here. Been here 7 years, and in my civilian Air Force civilian career, I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else.
Oh wow.
So I absolutely love it here.
Yeah, this is the longest place we've been here since 2007. This is the longest place I've ever been, ever.
Yeah,
When I'm
yeah. I
not
got
breathing.
here in
Yeah.
2018. I got here, so it's home now.
So what do you got going on in your life before we get everything blue and blue adjacent? What do you got going on in your life right now?
Well, so like I said, I've been here 7 years. I'm the emergency management director at Arnold Air Force Base.
Ooh,
Um,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so after I retired, I taught for a year and then got on as a contractor with the Navy up in Great Lakes. Now, you want to know cold? God, I thought Greenland was cold. That place is crazy if you're living up there. And then I parlayed that into civil service with the Navy. Did that for a few years down in Millington above Memphis, and then went to Germany working for the Army
Oh wow.
at Army Garrison Ansbach. I was there for 3 years, and then I came here. So I retired back in September of '08, and then I arrived here in September of 18. So like 2 weeks short of my 10 years from retirement, I got back to my Air Force, or how I was raised, I should say. So
Oh, well, that's cool.
yeah, it works. It works
Yeah.
very well, very well. So
So I want to start off with this. So I was every time I get somebody on board to do these things, I go through this book to find pictures
you
and
didn't
words
find
of
much of me in
wisdom.
there. Yeah, you
Huh?
didn't find much.
Well, no, but what I did find that was very compelling is the story about your dad when it showed that your dad was there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
could you, if you want to, you don't have to, you don't want to, but can you tell that story to the folks real quick that don't have that book?
yeah. So my dad did two tours in Vietnam, three Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star for Valor, and to be able to sing "God Bless the USA" to him.
Mhm.
There's a story behind that as well. I'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
yeah,
Of course, there's a story. It's Tops and
yeah,
Blue.
yeah.
But to get that to sing for him or sing that for him for not just once but twice, I could barely hold it together because he was a man um, that I didn't know what he had done until years later, when my daughter got married, I reached out to the archives and got his military records.
Hmm.
And the campaigns that he was in, it's just it floored me that my dad was such a hero.
So he never
Um,
talked about that stuff before.
oh no, he
Yeah,
this is long
kept it
before
in.
like PTSD was
Yeah.
diagnosed as anything. He was just dealing with it himself. So
Mhm.
I looked into it. My nephew Josh helped me he's the one the driving force behind it, and he was like, let's look into Papa's records, and I was like, yeah, let's see what we got. So I've got a complete set of his medals now. But to get to sing God Bless USA for him and to watch his reactions
Yeah.
and his face, and yeah, that was my high point of the entire tour that I did in
Mhm.
2000. It was just something else. And when I went to Worldwide, I got back from Worldwide, and I guess it was the day after they announced the team. He was diagnosed with cancer, and I said, "I'm not going. I'm not going to go. I'm going to be here for you," because I was stationed at Moody in Valdosta, so they were only an hour away. And I said, "I'm not going." He said, "The hell you're not.
Yeah.
You're going, and you're going to make me proud. You're going to make your family proud, and you're going to do what you do. So I'm not holding you back." So yeah, it was awesome. And when I landed back in Valdosta after the tour, he and my mother picked me up, and that's one of the few times I've ever seen my dad cry.
Uh, what
So
year? What year
yeah,
was what? So what year was the show? So it was in 2000. Was the
I
back
did
end? Was the back
2000.
end of the tour or the first part of the tour?
I guess it was probably our fifth or sixth show
Oh
that
wow.
we ended up in Lake City. And then from there well, we did Valdosta, then we did Lake City. So that's the two shows he saw me in. And then from Lake City, we went down to Cocoa Beach.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
but sorry.
No, you're
Me,
good. You're good, man. I totally
you know,
understand.
I'm an emotional wreck anyway. So
No, there's reasons for us. There's reasons why we do that. How we react to things like that. So I totally get
that's
it.
right. That's right. But
Totally.
yeah, proud of my dad. Proud of his service, his career, and his legacy because he taught us a lot on what to do and what not to do. I mean,
Right.
two years in Vietnam kind of screwed him up a little bit, but
Was he infantry? What
he
was his?
was a combat engineer.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we
Yeah.
even went into some archives and found some pictures of him in Vietnam, and he was like a stick. My dad
Yeah.
was 6'2", much a man, but he was such a stick when those
Mhm.
pictures were taken. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
anyway,
Yeah,
we're
no,
moving on from
that
that.
no, it's interesting because when I go through, and like I said, I go through that book and I try to read all the remembrances that folks had, and there was a select few that obviously I'm guessing Keith, when he did the final of the book, decided, needs to go in, that needs to go in. And I mean, that story was very compelling, man. I was like, wow, I
Yeah,
need to talk to
it, uh,
ED about this. So
it was hard to write, but I'm glad I did it, and now it's documented and there
yeah,
for him and for me.
yeah, yeah, very cool. So when did you see your first TIB show?
I saw my first TIB show in 1988 at Lackland while I was in basic training.
In '88.
hmm
Oh, okay.
I went in March of '88. They shuffled us in like they all do, with all the
Mhm,
basic trainees. And
mhm,
I saw that show, and I thought this is cool. And so when I got out of tech school and got back, my first assignment was Randolph,
mhm.
and a guy named Chuck Duffield was at Randolph.
Chuck Duffield. Yeah.
So he was doing the base level talent show, and I was like, I'm gonna do this because I love to sing, and I'd only sang in church and stuff like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
And so I did it, and it was a complete disaster. My legs were shaking. You could see it in my pants were shaking. But somehow, in his ultimate wisdom, he decided to take me to ATC Command at Chanute, and that's where I first had my first encounter with Ed Jones, Sarah Cantrell, and Darlene Brown.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
because Sarah and Darlene did a back to back. Like one, they had a screen in the middle of them, so they were doing a duet back to
Uh-huh.
back storytelling.
Yeah.
And Ed, obviously, he did a solo. And there
Yeah.
was a young man there who was like an airman basic piano player. He made tour that year, but I don't remember his name.
I'll have to
But
look into that.
But yeah, and me and my ultimate wisdom decided that while I was singing, I would kneel down and grab a rosebud and throw it in the crowd, and it barely made it off the stage. So
What is it we always say when everybody comes to Worldwide? The last thing you want to do is
yeah, and
grab a prop, grab a rose. Nobody
that's
cares
right.
about your stupid rose.
So I learned, and then throughout the year, he took us out to different, functions like barbecues for squadrons and stuff, and we'd sing to karaoke tracks and stuff like that. But it helped. It helped to get my nerves down because I was so just I, I don't know. I had zero self confidence back then. So yeah, it was a
What year
thing.
was that? What
That
year?
was in 94.
Oh wow.
90, no, I'm sorry, 90, 90,
Okay.
back in 90, because after I went, it was 89, 90, because I went, in 90, I went to England. I got stationed at RAF Mildenhall,
Okay.
and I did the talent show there for Roz Bennett for
Oh,
two
I know
years.
Roz very well.
Oh, Roz
What
was
what a
something else,
firecracker.
and she did not play. Well, when I met Ed Ed Jones at staging, or at Worldwide. Um, yeah, they were kind of two peas in a pod because she did not play. She told me, she said, "You got the drive, but you don't have the talent. You'll never be Tops and Blue."
Wow.
So I went back that second year when they had, I think it was regionals they had there, and
Uh-huh.
I operated Spotlight, and I showed her I was serious and all that. And then when we went back to Mildenhall on tour, she looked at me. She goes, "I could not have been more wrong. Could not have been more wrong."
I'm trying to
So
think. So I went to regionals in 89
this would have
and
been 90.
90. You and I were I went to regionals. No, I take it back. This is my first time in Europe, in England. 82 and 83 and 84 is when I met Roz Bennett. In 89, 88 and 89 and 90 is when I met Joanne Mellon over in the U safety side
Yep.
over in Germany.
Right. Right.
Wow. Yeah,
Yep.
Roz Bennett. So just quick story, real quick. I
Yep.
promise.
No, you're
Roz
good.
Bennett, my first talent show. Again, I was in an instrumental group in England at RF Bentwaters. We were playing 2112, Temples of Syrinx, and Overture. We won at base level.
Wow.
We get to regionals, Ross Bennett's rec center, and we were going up against a jazz band that had dressed as pirates. And they had,
Oh,
terrible shoulders and
gee.
stuff like that. But anyways, we had a tech rehearsal. Maybe it was I don't know if it was a tech or a dress rehearsal. I was in my room, my lodge. We just had a brand new son. Our son was just born, literally like weeks before that. And I was in lodging, and the first day of rehearsals comes back to the room, and the guy that his name was Doug Church, still a great friend of mine, said that I didn't have to go to rehearsal because they said that the instrumental band was good, and you, Dave, you do not have to go.
How'd that set with you?
I was like, oh, cool, I get to spend more time with my son. I got the evening
Okay.
off. That was my thought, right? That night, about 9 o'clock at night, I get a knock on my door. My bandmates. Oh, there you go. My bandmates said, "What the shit, Dave? Where were you? What the hell happened? I mean, what are you talking about? The doc told me that I didn't have to come because we were good to go for rehearsals."
Right.
To this day, I still rib Doc about that because I got there. Ross Bennett said, "Done, you're done."
Yep.
She let me perform, but I was completely off the list to go to the next level. So
Oh yeah.
thank you, Ross
She
Bennett.
did not play. She
He did
did
not
not
play.
play. And that's
Nope.
what I loved about her now. I mean, later, years later, because it hurt my feelings when she said that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I got to prove her wrong
Yeah.
when we went back in 2000. And like Daphne McBride, I think was there
Daphne,
at
yes.
Lakenheath. Yeah, she's passed, but I love
Daphne's
Miss
gone.
Daphne. Yeah, she's gone. I still talk to Dave. Dave Kovar is her husband, or her widower.
Uh-huh.
He's remarried since, but I still speak to him every now and then on Facebook. I loved
Wow.
England because when Roz told me that, I got more into the thespian side of myself, my
Right.
theater side. So
Uh-huh.
I did Arsenic and Old Lace, and I did Grease, and I did Hello Dolly while I was there,
Yeah.
and that helped me because when Roz told me that, it kind of lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad she did. I'm glad
Yeah.
she did because I thought, okay, I gotta put in the work. Like when you did your Priory with Ryan Daniel, he
Yeah.
said, nothing's coming to you for free. You got to
right.
put in the work. So
Yeah,
put in the work. And it
yep,
took me that long to make worldwide in
yeah.
2000.
It took me from 82 to 91.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
I still didn't make it. I had to go come back again in 92, but still,
Yeah. Yep. No.
there's
But I
that.
mean that's the stories, and that's the beauty of the program was that it made people reach down inside themselves and find things that they didn't necessarily know they had.
Right, right.
And it brings it out, and that's just, yeah, thank you, Roz. God rest you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that brings back some really some serious memories.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So, what did you perform to get to worldwide? What during that process through the line to get to worldwide? What were you
Yeah.
performing? What were you singing?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
So in 2000, it was a tape a video at your base and send
Uh-huh.
it in.
Yep.
So I did Elton John, "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me,"
Okay.
and I sat on the stage at the in the theater at Moody on a stool, and I don't think I moved. I don't I don't think I moved. I think I just sat there.
Was there a band or was
And
it pre-recorded?
no, it was like a karaoke track.
Okay.
I brought my little CD in, and they played it,
Yeah.
and then when I got notified that I'd made worldwide, I thought, "Holy crap. Are you serious?" Then I get to worldwide and
Mhm.
I'm like, "What am I doing here?"
Yeah. So let's
Oh
talk
my
about that. Let's
lord.
talk about your worldwide experience.
Whew. So first off, Chief comes walking down the aisle. I mean, we go in and it's all ceremonial and it's cool.
Yeah.
Chief comes down
I
that
mean, I'm sure I
aisle.
was there. I just don't remember all of them.
And I know, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did worldwide from 2001 to 2007. I was
Hmm.
there every year,
Hmm.
but he scared the crap out of me. I mean, the intense level of that little man scared the crap out of me, and I thought, okay, once again, let's put in the work. Let's get the sleep. Let's get the rehearsal. Let's get it on. And
Yeah.
then I ended up on team two. And I think 7 of the 10 of us made tour that year
Oh, wow.
on team two.
Who's your team leads?
So we had, who was it? Greg Martin was on there. Audrey was on there. Uh, oh, God. Paige was on there. I was on there. Kenny Myers, we called him Dirty Kenny on tour. That was
Mhm.
funny. Was on there. Gosh, who else was there? I'll think of it in a minute. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Who?
remember what I did in 12th grade, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast
Right.
yesterday.
Right. Me too. I'm the same.
Age.
Who are your team leads though? Who are your actual?
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, oh. Yeah, we had LC
Okay.
and we had Derek. And wow, wow. And
I'm
we
not
had
gonna
some.
say that's. I'm not gonna say that's the dream team.
It's the dream team. It is absolutely the dream team.
Sorry, Dave.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. And there were a lot of other folks there. I
Yes.
mean, Bernie scared me. Um, he scared me.
Yep.
And then I just I remember just trying to enjoy the process of it and to just put everything I had into it. So it was at Andrews. We ended
Uh-huh.
up getting snowed in that year.
Oh,
Uh,
now it's coming back to me.
yeah,
Yes, the Andrew
yeah.
Snowstorm. That's right.
Yep, yep. So
Yes.
we were practicing upstairs in the rec center, and then we couldn't practice in the rec center because they had something going on. So here we are, team two, trying to figure out, okay, are we going to practice in the laundry room at lodging?
Hmm.
Couldn't practice in the lobby because there wasn't one to speak of. So I got on the phone and I called and said, "Hey, chaplain,
Yeah.
can we use your sanctuary?" And I remember as like it was yesterday that my door was open and I turned around after I'd secured the chapel and Derek was there. And he goes, "That's right." So I knew I'd done something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Good
think
call. That's outstanding.
that's probably what got me on tour was my outside the box
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
figure it out type thing.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Wow.
so worldwide was a mess. I mean, it the banquet was awesome. The whole process was just ridiculous. I remember being in the I think we were in the club and we were watching all the videos of the performances.
Hmm.
And good old Sarah Cantrell, love her to death, but she's tough too. Oh, she's tough. And we were sitting there, and she was sitting beside me, and I had a habit of switching microphones,
Hmm.
hands, and she goes,
Oh,
"You do that too much. That's a nervous tick."
oh,
Note taken.
that's a
Note
valid
taken.
point. Yeah.
Note taken. That's right. She did on tour. We had Mike Noche and Sarah Cantrell were our two priors on tour,
Hmm.
and they did what priors do.
Yeah.
They kept us going. They kept us doing our thing. But then when I found out I made Tops and Blue, whew, you talk about crying. I'd had some serious tears shed for that.
Okay. Hold that thought there. We'll come, I
Yep.
want to put a pin in that part right there. When you're worldwide, do you remember your interview with Chief?
hmm
How'd that
I
go?
remember. I remember. Well, I mean, with Chief, you can't BS that man. He will see through it
Hmm.
in a minute.
Hmm.
So he said, "You have children?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "You have an ex-wife?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "How's that going to play out?" I said, "Well, I'm not worried about her,
Yeah.
but my children and I have already talked about this before I got here, and they're just excited because on tour, my kids thought I was a rock star. They
Well, how
honestly
old were your
did.
kids at the time?
Oh my gosh, this was in 2000. So Chris was 14, Andrew was 11, and Sarah was 9.
So they're old enough to understand at least.
They
Yeah.
understood,
Yeah.
and I did a lot to prepare them for it. So, like after I made tour, I got them a big foam-backed map of the world.
Hmm.
So every time I would talk to them, or they'd get a postcard or something, they'd put a push pin on where
Oh,
Dad
that's a
was.
cool idea.
Yeah, so I kept them involved. I remember one show at Maxwell because she remarried, and they lived in Prattville, Alabama, and he was assigned to Maxwell.
Yeah.
So I go out and we're doing I think we're doing Rhythm of the Night. And I knew where they were. I told them where to sit. And I went out and I'm dancing with my kids. And I picked my daughter up and I kissed her on the cheek and I put her back down. And after the show, Ed Jones says, people don't realize that's your daughter.
That I would have never thought about that.
I didn't either until it was over. And I was like, oh, I guess that could be kind of creepy. Me
Oh,
kissing a little
that's
girl on the cheek.
interesting.
So I was like,
Hey, sage advice for your future performers.
lesson learned. Lesson learned. Family's there. And now my
I would have
kids
never
are,
thought about that.
now they're all grown. They're
Yeah,
successful. I've got 6 grandbabies. So yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a great interview. When I walked out of there, I was completely and utterly drained.
Yeah.
And it lasted probably 45 minutes. And I thought,
I'm still waiting on my interview with Tom. That has
excuse
not
me.
happened yet.
Wow. Wow.
Never got an interview with
No,
Tom.
it was it was something else. I mean, when I found out I made worldwide, I quit smoking, I quit drinking, I quit everything in my life that was negative, and I practiced and I
Yeah.
worked and I
Yeah.
worked and I lost weight and I just did what I had to do to
Yep.
make sure that I was the
Yeah.
image.
Same thing
Yeah.
when I got selected between November and April, I just lost weight. That same thing.
Yeah.
I just thinned right down. So
Yeah.
did you do the other auditions? Obviously you had to do the dance and stuff.
Oh,
Did you do
so
instrumental or anything?
I play at the piano, and that's what I told them.
Hmm.
So I have a song that I played for my mother, "Only in God." It's a
Hmm.
Catholic hymn, and I had that memorized. But I play at the piano.
Right.
But they had me do harmony with Amazing Grace and stuff like that. But I remember Lorna Newton in my comedy audition, and I had to pull out of a jar and I got I got an Indian taxi driver in New York that has no idea where his fare wants him to go. So, hello and welcome to my
This is,
cab.
this is great
Hello.
already.
This is so awesome for you to be here. Where are you
Oh.
going? And it was hilarious.
Yep.
And I was proud of that. And then she had me read a story. So I acted like I was reading to my kids. And I think I may have gotten a few tears out of them with that story. So
Oh,
it was a great time. I remember I love Miss Lorna
yeah.
Newton. Give me a cookie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and I haven't seen her around lately. I hope she's okay.
Yeah,
Um
I need to get I really want to get her on this. I'm I'm,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
working on it. I mean, I know she's out there. I know she's out there still working, so I'll
Well,
figure it.
you're at the bottom of the barrel with me, so we're
No, no. I have. It seems like it's controlled chaos, JD, but it's really not. I have, I go through. I mean, the list is like,
forever. Yeah.
monstrous. So,
Well, my first talent show when I did Mildenhall, let
mhm.
me tell you who I was up against. I was up against Marty Patton,
Oh,
and
really?
I was up against
I
Dave
forgot Marty was
Wellens.
in England.
Yep, and Dave Wellens.
Oh, and Dave, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So when I get to staging and I look at the pictures on the wall and I'm like,
yeah,
what the? you know, holy crap, I'm in the production center. This is
yeah,
great.
yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So how did you get notified by your base that you were selected? What transpired there?
So, yeah, so I went and Worldwide was middle January, and I guess it was the end of February, and they were doing the annual awards banquet. And so, I mean, I didn't get a ticket. I wasn't up for an award. And so my leadership comes in and says, "Come on, we're going to the banquet." I was like, "It's a breakfast
Okay.
banquet." And I was like, "I don't have a ticket." He goes, "No, we didn't. None of us have a ticket. We're just going to go sit there." So we sat there, and I didn't think of anything. I mean, I really didn't expect.
Nothing, not even a little bit.
I didn't even expect to make the team.
Okay.
And I told myself if I do make the team, I'm going to be on audio, I'm going to be on lighting. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be a vocalist because I saw so many powerhouses at Worldwide.
Right. Right.
And so the general is doing his thing, and I wish I could remember his name, but he said we're going to pause a minute with the awards, and we're going to make an announcement.
That's cool.
And he called me up and he told me I'd made Tops and Blue, and I was just aghast. I was like, and he said, "You're going to be a vocalist." That's when I cried. That's
Really?
when
You broke down about being a
I,
vocalist at the
I,
banquet?
because I wanted to be a vocalist so badly.
And he actually said
Oh,
you're going to be a vocalist. He actually said
yep.
your position. Wow.
He said, you're a member of Tops and Blue 2000.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, and then he says, as a vocalist. And I broke it down.
And then
I
you
was
got
just
back to your seat and you pushed the dessert to the side.
I didn't eat anything. I don't think I slept for like a week. And then, like I said, about 2 days later is when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So that kind of put a little bit of wind out
Oh
of my
yeah.
sails.
Yeah.
But he put the wind right back in my sails when he said, "No, no, you're doing this. You're doing this."
Wow.
So it was a matter of getting everything together, and Jerry and all them, Carol starts sending stuff in the mail and emails, and you're filling this out and filling that out, and then
Package this and package that. Yeah. Yeah.
before you know it, you're on an airplane
Yeah.
and you're headed to San Antonio.
I had a long time between worldwides and staging. It was again November to like April, I think it was.
Yep, I arrived in staging on April 2nd, which is my granny's birthday.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Did you sing the same going back to worldwide and all the stuff before? Did you sing the same song all the way through, or did they talk you out of your song at worldwide? Did you sing the same song all the way through?
What it do the tour?
Yeah, no, through. I'm going back a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so at Worldwide,
Yeah.
I did Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and they had me up on the riser, and I came down, and I was so proud. I was so proud until
You
Sarah
did your
says, "You
steps right.
switch your mic too much." I was like, "Oh."
Were you worried about the steps?
Yeah, I was because I hadn't learned that. Don't look at the steps yet.
Who was the stage director at that worldwide? Was it Jenny?
Oh gosh, I think it was. I think it was. Um, I honestly, Dave, I can't tell you for certain because it was such a whirlwind that.
Do you remember
I
being in
mean,
the green room?
I do, and I remember sitting in the chair ready to go on stage, and I remember Kelly Boyce from '99
Mhm.
leading me to the stage. Yep,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yep, I
All
remember
right.
that. I remember makeup. I remember looking for. I wanted a pin for my shirt, so we went to the mall. Oh my gosh, Andrews. Whew, the base was great, but go off base, you got to go an hour before you get to a decent
Yeah.
place to go shopping.
And if you get on the loop, you're screwed.
That's right.
Yeah. What I'm curious about when you got to staging, did you get there? Did you get there real early before you had to go to the production center for the first time, or did you scope out the base just to get, just to get a grip
No,
on Laughlin again, or what did you do?
I flew into San Antonio, and a buddy of mine that I was stationed with in Korea, who
Mhm.
was stationed there, picked me up at the airport, and I went and had dinner with him and his wife, and then he took me to lodging. And so the next morning, get up, you get dressed, and you go outside. And I saw Kitty and Kitty Ellis, and I saw Jeremy was out there, Jeremy Waddell, and Greg was out there, and Kenny was out there, and I see all these people. Josue was there, and so we're just kind of waiting on the bus.
Right.
And got on the bus. They said the production center's not ready for you. We're going to take you to the food court at the exchange.
Hmm.
That's the last and only time I've had a Cinnabon. That weighed so heavy on my
It
stomach.
just sat.
It just sat there. And we get to the production center finally, and we go in, and we roll in, filing in, and then omnipresent
Yeah.
Tom Edwards comes
Yeah.
in, and he starts laying down the law. And he said, "Here's your clothes. They're in your locker. Your name's on your locker. Go change. We're going to dance. You're going to start this process." And this was at probably 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we didn't get back to
Really? They started you off right off the bat.
we did not get back to lodging until like 3 a.m.
Wow.
Khalil Khalil was there to put
Uh-huh.
us through our paces. Lane was there to put us through our paces, and we were waiting on Ruth to get there.
Yeah.
Ruth Perry. So I remember the first day she walked in, but anyway, but yeah, it was a straight up just. I mean, you know how it is: sleep schedule, eat schedule,
Yeah. Yeah.
non-existent.
Yeah.
So we got in, and I guess we were back at it about 8 or 9 o'clock the next day. So we had enough time to breathe and rub our feet and get
Did
ready
you
to
have
go
any
in.
time to walk around before Tom got there? Did you just come in and just sit down right away? Did you get time to mill around the production center a little bit?
Oh, there was no milling around.
Okay,
No,
just straight to the seats.
we went in the side door. If you're looking at the stage, so I guess
Oh,
it'd be stage left. The door that was down by the
uh-huh.
between the uh, lockers and the
Kitchen and the
kitchen and
stage.
all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we came in that door, filed in, and we were facing away from the stage, and there it was. It was Chief, it was Carol, and Jerry that were
There.
there, and it
Wow.
started right off the bat. And Khalil in the first week damn near killed us. We lost a guy. I don't remember his name, Jerry something. We lost him I think at week 2 because his body just was not. I found him passed out in the basement in the bathroom, and so yeah, he was gone
Wow.
in 2 weeks. So we were already down a vocalist.
Yeah, it'll weed you out pretty quick.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and I was 34,
yeah. I
and
was 30.
I'm dealing with these kids that are 18, 19,
Yep.
21,
Yep.
and I'm like, holy crap! And again, mindset, shut up and do it.
Just
Just
do it.
just
Yeah.
do it. Put your head down and go.
I had a
So.
lot of dehydration issues in stage. I just
Yeah.
kept, I wouldn't leave the stage. I just wouldn't leave the stage unless I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I can't leave. I
Yep.
can't leave. I got to stay here.
Yep.
So weird.
I got shin splints.
Did you really?
I did. So so we're doing I've got my shins wrapped, and I'm on crutches, and we're doing Rhythm of the Night. And so on Rhythm of the Night we come off the stage, we're in the audience, and then we go back up the stage. So I made it off on crutches. And Tom's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "I'm here." Right? I got everything you want. So I got off stage, we're in there, and we go back up stage. He's standing in the middle of the stage, and I trip, and I
Yeah.
see these little shoes. These little shoes, because he's got little feet.
Okay. All
and
right.
and I'm
I
like,
never took that good of a look, but I'm taking your word for it.
I look up, and he looks at me. He said, "Are you okay?" I could not have jumped up faster. I was like,
Wow.
"You're not sending me home, baby. I worked too hard to get here. You're not
Yeah.
sending me home."
Right.
So yeah, and kept on. I didn't fall again, thank God. But yeah, that was a humbling moment because I mean, I landed my face.
Right there.
Oh God. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
That was yeah, that was my staging.
Did you have at any point during stage did you think about, or you just plowed through it? You just said there was no way it was going to happen. You're going to plow through it. Yeah.
No, and my motivation for that wasn't just because I had tried so long to get there. But
Exactly.
if I had popped out, then what would my dad have said?
Yeah. 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 Well, I had the same things. So, obviously I was in the band, but because I tried so long and put my family through so much hell over so many years to get to that
Right,
point, and I finally made
right,
it. Same
right.
thing. They told me I had to play keyboard, a bass line on the keyboard. I was like, I've never touched a keyboard in my entire life. And I was frustrated by that. I mean, I had zero
Excuse me.
clue about a keyboard. And I was very frustrated. Like, what do you mean? Because I read the music and I was like, this looks way down the telephone pole for a standard four-string bass.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I gave it to Kevin Bourne, Snakes, and I said, is this a keyboard bass line? He goes, yup. And so it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Terry Griffey comes in, hands us cassettes and sheet music, and says, I'll be back in 2 hours to shed this. I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at it. So we called Terry up at home and woke him up. I said, Terry, what's going on here? He goes, oh, you don't know how to play keyboard? I said, no. He says, well, have Kevin or somebody show you the bass line on the keyboard because I need you to play that on the keyboard. Okay. But it was those kind of things that kind of threw me off and made me think about, am I in the right? They're gonna make me like play,
Oh
tuba
yeah,
next, or
yeah,
what are they gonna throw
yeah.
at me? But the exact same principle. There was no
Yeah.
way they were gonna get me out of there. No way, unless I, had a cardiac on stage or something.
That's right. Well, in staging, Chief gave us male vocalist gave us music of the night from Phantom.
Hmm.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. Wow.
uh-uh.
Yeah.
Uh-uh. Tried
Yeah.
our best, but uh-uh.
Yeah.
No,
It's
didn't
amazing the
stay.
amount of songs that get.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Paige did Who is that girl I see from Mulan?
Well, yeah.
And she did it in the first show, and then Chief cut it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she sang it better than Christina Aguilera did, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
But I mean, we also had helmets on for Hercules, so
Mhm.
when we did this, the helmets all fell off.
Wow.
It was great. Yeah,
Yeah. There's
trial and
always a,
error, baby.
there's always a few weird costume things that happen.
That's right. That's right.
So you said you worked at. I know I've worked with you at least 7 times at Worldwide. Is that how many times you were there?
Yep. So I was on the team in 2001.
Hmm.
And Regina Coonrod lives about an hour and a half from here. She lives up in, I think, Crossville or Cookville. And I went up to see, she had a one woman show up there. So I went up to see her for that. But at her Worldwide, I was the one that had to take them to the stage.
Oh.
And she was behind that curtain and she was just like there.
Hmm.
And I was like, "You got this, girl. You got this. I'm going to open this and you got this." And
Right.
she walked out and Regina was Regina. You know
Yeah.
how Regina
Right.
is.
Yeah.
But in 2002 is when Chief asked me back, or 2002, I worked with Barry in Georgia. In
Hmm.
2003 is when I was in San Antonio. He asked me back to do the Give Back program. So each team we would settle on a set,
Hmm.
and then they would learn those songs, and then we would do the vocal part, we would do the choreography part, and then we'd take them to like Audie Murphy, the Veterans Hospital. We'd take them
Yeah.
to Wilford Hall,
I love that program. I think a lot.
Fisher House.
We
Yep.
did that in '93. That's been an ongoing. I wonder how many years they've done that.
I don't know. I know that it wasn't there for my year in
Interesting.
2000, but in 2003, I got. That's why I know so many of these folks that are priors from 2003 all the way to 2007 because I retired in 2008. And so let me turn this thing off. But it was just really, I mean, that helped me grow
Hmm.
so much as not just a vocalist, but as a leader and a manager, past, post tour.
Right. Right.
Um, and it was just a lot of fun to get to do that. That's about all my leadership would allow me to go and do. Like I had to still go to work. I was a instructor at Lackland during that time, so I would go to work and I'd get off at 2 in the afternoon. Then I'd spend till 10 o'clock there, and then I'd go and get up at 3 and get to work by 4 and get off at 2. So
Right.
yeah, it was a good time. But the folks, I remember certain people. I remember Ricky Morales. I remember
Oh, Ricky.
um, Aisha. I remember Collins. I remember um, uh, Ryan Daniel, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
remember at the banquet. We had the banquet that year, and he came up to me, looked at me, he said, "I want to be you," because I was the country guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was just like taken aback. I'm like, "Oof, be careful what you ask for, sir."
Right.
And
Right.
then look at him now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing how these things transpire over time.
all right.
You follow the Ryan Daniels and you follow Kyle and all these people that are out there doing
Yep.
it. And
Remember
I'm like
Kyle?
TA and even you guys are out there doing these theaters and whatnot. I'm like,
Yeah.
that wasn't part of my dream or my reality, but I'm just fascinated by all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed theater in Lakenheath, Milton Hall. Took a break because where I lived didn't really have a theater. And then when I got to Germany, Userer has a huge theater program.
Mhm.
And I ended up winning Best Actor in Europe in 2017. So
Shut up.
no, it was awesome. I got my
Wow.
trophy in my office. Yeah,
Wow.
It's called a Topper Tournament of Plays Europe. And
Wow.
Yeah, I played Francis Henschel in One Man, Two Governors. It was written off of A Servant of Two Masters
Uh,
for James Corden to do, and he won an Emmy. I won a topper, so I
no
was
kidding.
happy with that.
That's
It
awesome.
was great. Yeah, I love doing what I do, and like I said, it keeps the juices flowing. And at my age, I need memory work. So hey, let's learn some lines and
So
let's.
not to get personal, but how old are you, JD?
I will be 60 this year. I turned 60 in November, so 59 and strong.
You say
Um,
you're a good looking man for 60.
well, thank you.
You are doing very well. I'll
My
be 63 in July.
my Tinder profile says 49, but this no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um,
Look over the phone right now.
yes, swipe right. Don't
See if I
uh,
where's this JD guy at? Hang on.
mm, right. But
Oh,
no,
that's great.
I'm loving life. I learned so much with Tops and Blue, and I
Okay, let's
learned.
talk about that. What did you take before I get to I got a bullet round here for you.
Oh
But
shit.
well, I don't know why
Oh
I call it
shoot.
bullet round. The fast round. What do they call
Right.
that? Whatever.
Yeah.
What did
The
you when you got off a tour, what did you take from that?
I took that there is nothing I can't do if I set my mind to it.
Hmm.
Now we'll keep relationships on the side of that.
Okay.
But but like with raising my kids, I gave them a certain work ethic that I had, but
Hmm.
it was just exacerbated by Tops and Blue. It was made more current, more valid. Um, I mean, I worked my butt off on that show. I mean, we all did.
Hmm.
That's the life. Started off a little slow, trying to figure it out and do, but I had the wardrobe I had to worry about. I ended up being a flight chief. Yeah, it was a year that I took away that in order to lead, you have to understand.
Hmm.
And if you understand your people, you can be a better leader. And you don't lead from the back; you lead from the front.
Hmm.
And that is what I learned. Other than everybody seems to focus on the performance aspect. Um, yeah, it's important. It's important for you to get out there and just show up and show out because you're Tops and Blue and everybody
Hmm.
looks at you a certain way. But the leadership aspect is what is very, very dear to my heart. I love Tops and Blue. I have a tattoo of a Roger right here. The only Roger I have is my tour Roger.
Roger, right?
So, but that's what I learned from that show. Um, get to know your people.
Yeah.
Like Tops and Blue, everybody says it. I think Ryan said this. Everybody says their year's the best year. We lost two people out of the entire year, and that was
That's
within
incredible.
in the first 3 weeks. We lost Jerry in, I think, staging, and then our stage manager. I'm not going to mention his name, but I think we were in Florida somewhere, like Panama City, and we had the carousels
Hmm.
and we had the doors, and they had to open certain times, so we had volunteers doing that. Well, they didn't, and they weren't, and he was back
Yeah.
there doing pull-ups on the truss. So the next morning, we wake up and we're like, "Where is he?" And he gone.
Gone.
He gone.
Wow.
His Thompson Blue bag was there, so I
Yeah.
guess they gave him his clothes in Walmart bags or something. But he was gone.
Separate your
Gone.
clothes.
Gone.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the year, did we have issues? Do we have arguments? Yeah, every
Yeah.
family does.
Yeah.
But nothing that we could not overcome, and nothing that we as adults, as family, couldn't work out. Like Audrey and I, every night when we were on stage, I would do Smile, and I'd reach down and I'd touch her face. Well, we had an argument, and then one night she just
Oh
flipped
wow.
away. And I was like, okay, we're gonna sit down and talk about this because this ain't
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, I love that entire show. We had the show. Um, if you believe, and I guess that's I believed.
Mhm.
I believed that I could be Tops and Blue, and
Yeah.
I ended up being Tops and Blue. So
Yeah. Wow.
proud to be.
Yeah. No
Proud
kidding. Wow. Um, do you think that you hit the proverbial wall when tour was done?
I don't think so. I went back to Moody and they changed me from the training section into the plans and programming
Hmm.
section for emergency management.
Hmm.
And I don't mind, admin work, and I don't mind planning, but I much preferred being in front of a classroom teaching.
Hmm.
Chem warfare, right? I was
Right.
the mop Nazi that put you in your gas mask and all your gear and everything else. But I looked at it as, again, another challenge. It was another section that I hadn't really worked in. So let me learn, let me grow, let me do. So I don't think I hit a wall.
Hmm.
I think I pushed through a wall.
But you didn't get any really weird depression type thing.
No, I didn't. I look back on my stuff, and my base kept me pretty busy because they ended up doing talent shows, and then I would sing at ceremonies. So
They
I
were
had all
asking
this.
you for help to do stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
before I
My
went
base
on
did the same
tour,
thing. My base
even
did the
before I
exact
went
same
on
thing.
tour, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then Kashina Cross now,
Hmm.
she and I were in 2000 at stage or at Worldwide, and then she went back in 2001 and made the team,
Hmm.
and she was from Moody as well. So then you've got the media attention coming in saying, okay, well, I got it when I was in 2000. Oh, now we got two in a row from
Yeah.
Moody.
Yeah.
So that feeling of Tops and Blue, just, I don't think it ever left me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's left me yet. I still
Yeah. No,
apply
I
a lot
completely
of
agree with
that.
that. Absolutely agree with that.
I apply a lot of what I learned, and I mean, this has been, 25 years ago. I was in staging today.
Mhm.
25
Yeah.
years ago today,
Isn't that
I was on
crazy?
stage. It's nuts, and I'm only 39. I think
Yeah.
we covered that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 30. You're right. I was in staging the same time. Yeah, this year. Yeah, same time.
Yeah.
So just real quick, just get off blue for a second.
Mhm.
Since you were in readiness, chem warfare, disaster preparedness stuff. Quick story. When I got sent to me and 10 other maintenance troops from different bases, different airlift bases, got sent to Andrews one day after hurricane, or sent to Florida one day after Hurricane Andrew.
Andrew, back in the
Yep,
90s. Yep.
90s. So we got sent there. We went to Opelika, Florida, real
Mhm.
quick, and then we had to drive down to Homestead Air Force Base. We get to Homestead, Colonel Plummer and there's like a handful of security police. That's all it was on the base, and us. It took us forever to get from the main gate to the flight line. So we get to the main gate, finally make our way to the flight. It took us about 2 hours just to get to the flight line from the main gate. Anyway, Colonel Plummer's there. He's in his flight suit, takes his flight cap off, stuffs it down in his lower pocket, says, guys, my base is gone. I need my runway and my ramp open back up. Whatever you guys need for my base, just take it. Just don't. All I'm asking is you stay honest about what you need. Let me know what you need. I'll tell you where to get it from. But pretty much, get whatever you need to get the flight line back open, do it.
Right.
So there was 10 of us. So we separated into twos. Two people went to look for jet fuel. Two people went to look for tools. Two people went to food. Two people went for shelter, which I was one of, and two others, I think, transportation, vehicles.
Mhm.
So me and the other guy were starting to look for a place to put up cots because the base was just destroyed. So if it
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
blown down, full of water, about to fall down, couldn't find anything. And it had to be close to the flight line. Walk up to a building, we walk in, building's perfectly, I mean, I could hook up a generator to it and just fire the building up. Small building, Guess what it was? Disaster preparedness classroom.
Yes.
That building was completely intact, no
That's right.
leaks. The desks were still there, the mannequins, the chem warfare gear, the mop gear, everything.
God loves emergency managers.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what are the odds of getting disaster preparedness classroom after a
Yep.
disaster was the only place we could put cots.
Yep.
Anyways,
Yep.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. No, I was in England at that point, and my son Andrew, my mother used to call him Hurricane Andrew, and he
Yeah.
was. He was Hurricane Andrew. But
Well,
yeah, I was the first 3E9 emergency management guy to tour with Thompson Blue, and now we've had I think 4 others that have
yeah,
toured because it's a hard career field to get away from,
yeah, yeah,
to be gone for that year. So you got to be from a pretty big shop for them to
yeah.
absorb your absence.
Yeah, Dover
Yeah.
Flyline didn't miss me at all.
Mm,
Not one. Other time I went, they didn't miss me at all. Even at
yeah.
Worldwide, they're like, "Oh, just go, go.
Yeah. Go, go,
You're a
go.
fine jet troop, but you're fine. Go."
Yeah. But that's a great
Um,
way to be. Great
yeah,
way to be.
you're right. Other than the obvious show with your dad we talked
Hmm.
about earlier, did you have another favorite show? Does any other show just stick out in your head that was just amazing either because of the audience or the location or it just looked
Um,
right? Is there anything show that
yeah,
sticks out in
there's
your head?
I think there's 2. We did Randolph for 4th of July one year, and there were people farther than the eye could see.
Oh,
Um, 1604 runs around San Antonio. There
mhm.
were people parked on 1604 watching our show. And I get up there and I sing Smile and I sing God Bless. And I feel like Garth Brooks. And they actually had some people got hurt at that show because Randolph did pyro
Yeah.
and did the fire, and some of the hot landed down on the outer banks of the crowd.
Uh-huh.
That was the biggest show I think we ever did, and I don't know how many hundreds, 150,000, 100,000
Holy
people.
crap.
It was a ton of people, and I mean, it's my memory, so we know how that
Yeah.
is. I might be
Yeah.
overdoing that, but
Yeah.
but the other show that stands out is we were at a NATO base in Germany, and we got there. They served us the German lunch, did all of that. Then we went to the sport house and set up, and we had to do we were rehearsing for the Super Bowl gigs, the pre-Super Bowl that year for
Mhm.
2001 down in Tampa, Ybor City. So we set up, we rehearsed, and then they brought us sandwiches, brought us hoagies. Ugh, I didn't eat lunch meat for 9 years. It's crazy. um, but anyway, they
Yeah.
brought us hoagies, and so we ate, and we were excited about the hotel we were in because they had a skating rink, they had a theater, they had a club, they had I mean, all of this stuff. And we're like, this is awesome because we can sleep in a little bit in the morning, go rehearse, and do the show.
Mhm.
Well, turned out the mayonnaise was bad.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. 33 of us on tour, 31 of us with food poisoning.
Wow.
Yeah. Leo, gosh, what's his last name? Can't remember. He was standing in as a trumpet player when we were overseas. And he was my roommate. And I got home, I was like, something stink. Because I went to the club and I had a drink and I'm like,
Stinks.
so I got home and I went to the club and I had a drink. And I remember looking at Jeremy and Greg because they were like the party folks. And I said, I don't even want this. I'm going to go home and go to bed. And I go home and I'm like, what's that smell? So I went ahead and went to bed. Didn't even go in the bathroom. Yeah, he had already filled the sink with yak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the time my stomach turned, I went in there and I'm like, that just made it worse.
Yeah.
So I remember Ed coming around the next morning with Gatorade and Imodium and all of this other stuff. And so we're like, hey, we got a show to do. So we get on the bus, we stop by McDonald's to get some greasy French fries. I swear by greasy French fries at McDonald's. So we walk into the venue and the commanding general is there. And this guy, I wish I remembered his name, but he was so impressive because I think he knew every single one of our last names. And he looked at me and he said,
Wow.
Sergeant Dill, you look horrible. You're white as a sheet. I said, that's what makeup's for, sir. So we went in, we got ourselves ready. Dave, the best show we ever had, the
Wow.
hardest show we ever had, because you would get on there, like, Chief says, nobody came to see somebody sick do a show. Or
Right.
as Ed said, no sick monkey ain't gonna do no show, So
Yeah.
we we got up there, we gave it our all, we came off, we puked, we changed clothes, we puked, and we went back on stage. And by the time it was over, we went to the back of the stage instead of out in the front like we always did.
Mhm.
And people crying, people still yakking, people just, I mean, there was nothing left of
It's amazing
us.
what the human body will do under pressure.
That's right. It is.
It's
And I
amazing.
mean, so we did not tear down that night. We went and tried to recuperate. And then our tear down, that was probably the longest tear down we had, except for our first
Yeah.
loadout.
Well, yeah. It probably
Because
felt
we
like an
just had,
eternity.
it did, because we had no energy. But
Yeah.
I was so proud of every single person on that stage. And then in Guam, the rain was coming sideways, and
Mhm.
Julie Davis, I'd be remiss if I didn't say God bless Julie Davis, because she has passed, our
Wow.
keyboard player,
Oh.
and Matt Weber, who was he drove the music box
Mhm.
and did Spotlight, and he also performed We Danced in our Super Bowl set. So they have both passed. So God love them. I'd be
I
remiss
had
if I
no
did not
idea.
mention
I had no
them.
idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the only two we've lost so far.
Wow.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, but
All
yeah, that
right.
was a tough show.
All right. You ready for the bullet round? It doesn't have to be fast. I just call it that because I just want to do, I had a stack here of things I wanted to hit. All right. In your show, what was the favorite set?
Favorite set was patriotic set.
That seems to be the theme so far.
Well, I mean, so we had
It was mine. I'm not gonna lie.
the girls came out and did "You Will When You Believe," and
Mhm.
then Sarah Cantrell came out and sang the same as the Super Bowl performance. If you believe, and we're back there and we're like, believe it,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
believe it, and then I stepped down to do "God Bless USA." So that set always gave me chills. Always did. I got in trouble for it, but it gave me chills.
Uh,
We were at Andrews, and we still hadn't. I guess the decision hadn't been made on how that was going to go, because we did our first couple shows without it.
mhm.
And so Dave Davis, our bass singer, he wanted that song so bad. And so Ed says, "JD, you're singing." So I sang it. Went back up in there, and we started the music again. I said, "Dave, go show him what you got." Well, then I got the wrath of Ed.
Oh.
So who put you in charge of production of this show?
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
did you become Tom Edwards?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
did and then he said, "We're stopping for lunch." So we go to we're at Andrews. This is a stage, my worldwide stage.
Uh-huh.
And and so we go to the food court to eat, and I'm just sitting over there going, I just got myself sent home. So I went back, and when we started rehearsal, I was like, "Sorry, Dave, we moving on." And I was just trying to be nice because Dave
Yeah.
wanted it so
Yeah.
bad, but
Yeah. I
I
mean, it
just
was an honest. It wasn't like you were, it was just an
right.
honest thing you were trying to do. Trying to.
Yeah,
I get that.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
The
But
the
I got
patriotic
my
the
oof,
patriotic set for me was like a rock opera. I was the
right,
proudest of the jazz set because I never played a jazz note my entire bass playing life until I got to staging,
right,
and country, but specifically jazz.
right.
Never played jazz in my life. So I was so proud that I could play jazz and relatively proficiently. But the final set, man, the patriotic set was like a rock opera to me. It was just giant power chords and just
That's right.
it was so cool.
Yep, yep.
I got
Loved
goosebumps
it.
just talking about it.
I know, love it. I still watch
Uh,
it.
oh, speaking of goosebumps, I even got that right in here. Song that gave you the most goosebumps on tour. Don't well, you can't say "God Bless the USA."
I'm going to say, "If You Believe." Sarah
Okay.
Cantrell singing that song. That, or when she sang "Natural Woman" when
Oh
we
yeah,
did
yeah.
the Aretha set. Yeah, that. And then again with the patriotic set, when the ladies are in the red, white, and blue dresses and they're
Uh,
singing the Mariah song, because they each came out with a different thing. Like Kitty came out, and Paige came out, and Becca came out with a different part of that. And I'd stand backstage and just like, ugh,
yeah,
because the harmonies were so on point and they were so pure.
yeah.
So that's probably my moment.
Okay. Uh, well, this is gonna be tricky. I want you to take your time, and you can name a couple, but we're gonna start with one. Prior that you look the most up to.
Oh wow.
Or I'll even expound or expand on that. That probably,
Well, top of my list, there's two. Obviously, there's LC and there's Derek Wright.
okay.
I adore them. Um, they are the reason I made Tops and Blue. Now, I have to mention Percy.
Mhm.
Percy, I saw him in San Antonio when I first moved there, and I'd go to the club and I would see him perform, and he just exuded the confidence and the things, you know. And this was after tour,
Mhm.
but when I saw him at Worldwide, he was so confident, he was so sure of himself, he was so. I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that much self assurance in me and my ability.
Mhm.
So that's my three. And I mean, obviously, we love Khalil, we love
Yeah.
Lane,
Yeah.
but Elsie, Derek, and Percy are my three that I just like. All right, let's go.
Well, for folks that don't know who he means by LC, it's
That's
Libby Castle.
no, that's that's
No.
L- that's Elsie Wilson.
Oh, LC Wilson. I thought it was Libby this whole
Yeah,
time.
no,
Oh,
no,
LC Wilson. Oh,
oh yeah, no,
oh
that's
shit.
Miss Wilson. She's something else. She is something
Oh no,
else.
you're spot on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. My
I'm
bad. I thought we
sorry.
were talking about Libby.
No,
But
no, not
he
I
worked
love
with Derek.
Libby. Love Libby.
Yeah,
Love Libby. Love
yeah.
her. But my team was Ms. Wilson and Mr. Wright. And
Oh, I
that
totally
was
forgot about that. Yeah. All
oh
right.
yeah.
That's
Oh
fair
yeah.
enough.
No. Sorry, I should have been more
No,
clear.
I just assumed because Libby's always worked with Derek. I just assumed it was
Oh,
those
yeah.
two.
Well,
Yeah.
this is before the Libby Derrick era. This was when Miss Wilson was in there.
Which was an important era, folks.
Hmm.
Least favorite part of tour.
Probably the first 5 shows.
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
reasonable statement.
we were learning. The last week before we did our final performance, I was out for I couldn't utter a word for 3 days because I had laryngitis.
Wow,
So so I
that's ill
couldn't
timed.
I could still work,
Yeah.
but I couldn't speak. So that was tough. But I'd say probably the first 4 or 5 shows because the loadouts were long. Our
Mm.
first show was at in Illinois. What's that? Crap.
Chanute
No, Chanutes are closed. That was where my first
closed by then, right? Yeah.
My first ATC show was at Chanute,
Mhm.
but I'll come to it in a minute. But it was our first show was on my daughter's birthday, 7th of June, and we got there. We had our reception, then we went to bed, and then we got up at 1 in the morning. We were at the venue at 2. The show started at 7. It started at 7:20 because we had just finished and we're all in the bathroom trying to clean off the grime, get into costume for opening number. Did the show. They fed us pizza after the show. We started teardown and the truck doors shut as the sun was coming up the next day.
Wow.
That was the hardest teardown I think ever. Um, Scott Air Force Base.
Scott, there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
ATC
So
headquarters, right?
yeah, no ATC. That's Randolph.
I thought,
Scott
oh, airlift
Airlift
headquarters.
Command.
Airlift
Yeah,
headquarters. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, we got there and they treated us like rock stars. Had this big reception. We're like, oh, we're somebody.
Yeah.
And no, we wasn't.
No. Yeah.
Nope, we were not. So that's the hardest. Probably the first 5 shows.
Most memorable onstage screw up.
I got to narrow it down to one.
Well,
Oh,
give us a couple. I mean, I'm not
um,
I'm not gonna hold you to a set rule here.
most memorable screw up was I think we were in.
That has to do with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were in Northern Tier. It was Minot. It was somewhere, and Vasquez, who did "God Bless the USA" the year before me, um, was there, and I screwed up the words to the song.
Oh, you were in the Marty Patton Club then. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and
What was the word? I want to hear it. What'd you do?
I mean, we're on stage, and I start doing the stand up. Gotta stand up, and we weren't even there yet.
Yeah.
We were still in the lakes of Minnesota. And that's one thing about Matt Weber, right? God bless him. He was on the spotlight, and every night I sang God bless, and it said on the plains of Texas. He's from Texas.
Uh-huh.
And I'd point to him on that spotlight
Oh, that's cool.
every
That's cool.
single night. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
I so wanted to make it a good show because Quez was there, and I completely just done.
On,
It was
on God Bless the USA.
God bless the one song everybody in the audience knows,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you'd
and I'm
say
on stage.
how many times have you done it up to that point?
Oh, it's probably 30, 35 point times
Isn't that
we've done that at
crazy?
that point. It is. I mean, we did 142 shows, and the first, I guess, 5 we didn't do God Bless because we were still working on
Still
that
working on the
and just
patriotic set.
staging. So
Yeah.
137 shows I sang that thing, and I'm glad to be in that club because you think about all the priors that are out there.
Hmm.
How many have been in the God Bless the USA club?
Yeah.
For the longest time it was all guys.
Yeah.
And then we got some ladies in it too. So
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
brotherhood, sisterhood. I'm glad to be a
Yep.
part of that. Yeah. It was an
So
honor for me.
Marty Scrump was. I will never forget this. I don't remember where it was at. It was like show 99 or something, way in the back of the tour. And Marty decided for some reason he started out the song fine. Then he gets to the point he goes, and my neighbor and his wife. We're like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
The band, we were rolling, man.
I'm
Rolling.
laughing, but I can relate. The horror that comes into your heart at that
Man.
point when you
Oh,
realize it. Whoo. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
neighbor and his wife.
And Chief was still out on tour with us. Yeah.
Oh, did you get a dressing down at all? Or just pass it?
No,
Pass it?
so when I did it for my dad, I went to Chief and I said, I think I'm too emotional in this song. Can I do something better to be better at this song? And he said, JD, if you weren't emotional, you wouldn't be doing the song.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, that's
And
solid advice.
I took that and I said, okay, done deal. Move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I'll be
You
emotional.
know,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
Note to self. Yep.
All right. Last one.
Okay.
Favorite show location.
Favorite show location has to be.
Not where you had a day off, but actually did the show at.
Say again.
Really?
Say again.
Favorite place where you actually did the show at, not like where you had a day off at or toured through, but where you actually did your show at. Where did you do your show at? What's your favorite location?
Gosh, that's hard. I'd have to say Montgomery for the Maxwell show because we were downtown Montgomery, and that's when I got to see my kids and I kissed my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought Dad's a rock star, and
Yeah.
I couldn't dissuade them from
Mhm.
that.
Right.
But yeah, so Valdosta was cool, but we were still learning because it was one of our earlier shows. Um, Cocoa Beach was cool, but the girls couldn't wear their red, white, blue dresses because they got put in the dryer and they shrunk and had to be redone. So it had to, yeah, yeah. Wardrobe
Oh,
chief. Yeah, I was the wardrobe
okay.
biatch.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about wardrobe chief. What's that life like?
Um, you're used and abused. Like the white shirts, we could never launder them enough. Even if we had time to do it and we did it, it was never good enough because somebody would complain. The band, especially, would
Uh-huh.
complain. Yeah. We did a show in Greenland, and the theater was small, so we had to do 2 back to back. And it's freezing. And so we did our first show, and we're sweaty. And then we had to put those clothes right back on
Mhm.
and do it again. So we're freezing. And
Yeah.
then we didn't get a chance to launder them before we put them in the crates because we had to palletize out and get out. So when I pulled up those crates, it was a mess.
Dude,
So we had to wash them like 4 times. Guam was hard because the rain was coming down sideways, and Julie would hit a C on the keyboard and it would play a D flat. So we were doing the stage between sets, and I remember Josh Moreau. He was one of my guys on wardrobe, and he hates bullfrogs. And Guam got some bullfrogs.
what's his beef with bullfrogs?
I don't know. He doesn't like them. So we ended up taking every washer and dryer in lodging for 3 buildings,
Mhm.
and we're washing and we're doing. And all I remember is this scream. I mean, I thought somebody was being murdered. And I run over there, and he's like 6 steps up, and there's a bullfrog at the end of the steps. And I had to shoo that bullfrog off to get it away so he could go do what he needed to do. That was the funniest
Wow.
thing. But that rain was coming down. I've never seen a monsoon like that. That that was a rough show. But we did it.
You did it.
We do it.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Ain't
Wow.
no one monkey ain't stopping no show. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I get that.
but
All
yeah,
right, old
Montgomery.
friend. Listen, you got anything you want to ask me? You got anything you want to break down?
No, how's life in Ohio? Or Pennsylvania?
Life is good. I'm fully retired, completely retired.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
I got 7 years left.
I, my wife looked at me 3 months ago, 2 months, 2.5 months ago, and said, "You're good. You don't have to." Because I was driving Uber and Lyft after I retired from Verizon.
Right. Remember
I
that?
was concerned about things. Yeah,
Yeah, cash cab kind of thing, right?
yeah.
With your,
And I just, she said, "No, we're good. Don't have to drive anymore." So I said, "Okay, we're done." So,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
collecting
good for
Social
you.
Security and
Congratulations.
yeah, no, it's cool because my grandkids are on the other side of town and my daughter's family's over there. So no,
How
it
many
works
you
out.
have?
4, 8. Well, I got one
Yeah.
graduating high school tomorrow.
Whew, yeah, my oldest is about to turn 17. My youngest is about to turn 2.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
I
I
get
got
it.
a
You know,
18 to 16, a 5 and a 3.
wow. That's a big spread.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember when my son's wife was expecting my first grandchild.
Mhm.
My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, said, "You think you love your kids? Wait,
Oh,
wait
grandkids are a
until."
totally different vibe.
Oh my God!
Totally different vibe.
Take my money.
Yeah,
Take my money.
and, you know, people always say it's because you get to play with them and spoil them and give them back. But I say, well, that's not it for me.
No,
Because of our family history, I'm the last of the Jacksons. Every Jackson before me has died early. Uh, you know, they're just all gone. I'm the last male Jackson. So to see my DNA move on now,
that's right.
it's just amazing to me to see my grandkids through my daughter. Just to see that I'm like, oh, I can see that a little bit, you know, from my son. I can see that
That's
in my
right.
daughter. Just to see that DNA move on,
Yeah,
knowing that when you're gone,
yeah.
it just still keeps going.
And it's the mannerisms, and it's
Yep.
the
All the little
ticks
yeah,
even.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
correct.
That's what I love about it, sir. Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Oh, thank
This
you
is
for being
awesome.
on this, man.
I've had a really great time.
All
It's
right.
nice to reminisce and catch up, and
Which is why I do this.
good for you on your retirement. I got
Yeah,
7 more years and then I'm done. I think I'm gonna get a
we
you
go like
drive
that.
it. I'm gonna get a you drive it motorhome and just go around the world and see friends I haven't seen in years. So
Wouldn't that be cool? My wife and I are talking about doing something like that. Just
yeah,
just get in the car one day and telling the daughter, "Hey, we're not available for 2 months."
yeah.
Just tell.
I took a cruise in March. It was my first one. I got another one in January and another one in February. So
Oh, you're gonna be one of the cruise guys, aren't you? You're
yeah,
gonna.
and then
Oh,
I'm looking at, we'll see about the June in Alaska for TIB. So I don't know. I've got a UEI scheduled at that time, so
all right.
I may or may not be able to do that. So anyway, God love you. Thank
God
you.
love you too, man. It's good
Yeah,
talking to you, old friend. And let's keep in touch. All right. All right.
absolutely. All
All
right.
right, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take
All right.
care, man. All right. Bye bye.
All right. On you.